Yeah, everyone, welcome back. This time we're in the shed and we got a new project. I don't need a new project, but I got one. Two, actually, but that one's for a later date. This one is not, technically speaking, mine. This is actually Dad's. So, yeah. Let me take you for a bit of a walk around, show you what we got, and show you what we're going to get done. I'm hoping to have this one completely finished in this episode. So it might be a long one, but stick with me. Hopefully it all gets done. So like I said, not my project. This is Dad's. Long story short, we're going out on a hunting trip fairly soon. And I've got a little bike that I use, little 250. And I said to Dad, why don't you have a look around, see if you can get a quad. Makes it a lot easier to sort of get around paddocks and things like that when you don't have to drive a car around. You can actually run around on a four-wheeler or a motorbike. Anyway, turns out I actually ended up getting this from the same bloke that I got the seized outboard from. This isn't seized. Spoiler alert, it does run. I know it runs. That's not where our main problems are. Anyway, I sent him a message and said, would you happen to have anything like this lying around? He said yes. We made a deal, or Dad made a deal, and then here we are. Now, a couple of things. It is a CF Moto 500cc CVT, four-wheel drive, high-low range, front and rear diff locks. It's a full biscuit quad. It is. I mean, CF Moto is a Chinese brand, but I mean, as far as knockoff products go, they're not bad. They're good. They're supported. You can buy proper parts for them, and they're really not terrible. Not a Honda, not a Yamaha, but still not terrible. Like I said, it does run, does drive. Some of the known issues, obviously, it's in bits. That's if you've been watching the channel at all for any length of time, you'll know that's how I buy things. I buy them in bits and then put them together. Kind of my thing. The other thing is it's got some rust issues. Now, I'll show you a little bit, but essentially I don't know exactly why or how, but well, I mean, I know how, it's just rusted. But the front lower control arm is hanging on by hopes and dreams. This side was already repaired, and he did a pretty good job of making new brackets there, so that was the same as the other side, but it's, like I said, repaired. I'm repeating myself now, but anyway. So we're going to fix that. The rear mount is fine. It's just the front mount. The rest of the steel around is pretty good. Just that's gone, and I would say, if I had to have a guess, I would say it's probably because mud comes up and sits in there and just sort of, eats it out over time. The other thing is this brake on this wheel is locked on. You can ride it and it'll drive through it, but it's locked. Now, we're going to have to investigate, but I'm tipping that there's probably some unhappiness going on with the master cylinder. I do actually have one of those sight classes. So, you can get them off eBay. They're not that hard to come by. And, just other tidy up stuff. So I think the first place is we're going to swap the battery out. That battery's too small. We're going to fire it up, run it out, and I'm going to pressure wash this thing and try and get it looking better than it does. I'm going to pressure wash all the plastics. And we're going to go from there. Assess it, pull that front end apart. Now I'm only really going to pull it apart. I mean, it is apart. I'm only going to pull it apart further, or as far as I have to make the structural repairs I need to make. Then we're going to put the whole quad together. I've got a whole heap of nuts and bolts and bits and pieces to put the whole thing together completely. And then essentially Dad and I are going to go out, bash it around the bush for a weekend, see what breaks, and then come back, and it'll probably end up getting a full strip down, maybe frame powder coated. Don't know how crazy we'll go. But yeah, this episode's going to be getting it good enough to go and flog around out in the bush, chasing pigs and goats. So, right, battery, fire it up, pressure wash it. Let's go. Alright, so there we go. That's the choke cable, because you know, rust. This switch was a little bit ordinary before. Still is. Huh. Come on. Right. Oh, okay. There's your problem. Where'd that get into? Oh, okay. Stand by. We'll sort it. Plugged it back in. Now we should have a bit more success. What do we got? Choke cable. Are we out of gear or neutral? Starter button and throttle. First things first, get this front end up off the ground. Get this wheel off. Whoa! Huh. Well, turns out I broke it trying to get it in the shed. That's not ideal. Okay. Tear into it. Oh, whoopie days. Breaking it. So this is where we are. So obviously that one's not very happy. And that side's even worse. So there's nothing there. What I do have is I've got some, I think, what are we, probably 6mm flat bar. So I can cut and shut it and make it out of that. Or, what I did find, excuse the messy floor and all of that jazz, is I've actually got some heavy RHS. And it's so close to the right diameter, I think that's what we're going to run. So it's a little bit wider than what it has to be, so I may even have to cut it and shut it and shrink it. But it won't be by much. So get to chopping and welding. Alright, they're all done. Not the best welding I've ever done, but they're there. They're a hell of a lot more solid than what was there before, so we'll mount it all up. And then it's time to strip this caliper. See, I can't imagine why it's locking on. Strip it, have a bit of a look and see what we can see what's going on in there. And sort the brakes. I'm going to put a splash of paint on this, just to, you know, protect it, make it a bit better than what it is. We can bolt it all back together, shock back in, and then let's turn our attention to the brakes. Alright, so a few little updates. I popped the cap on the Master, and if you've ever dealt with motorbike Masters or, you know, anything like that, you'll know that sometimes these top screws can be absolute nightmares. They pop right out, and it actually doesn't look terrible in there. I was expecting worse. Replaced the little sight glass on the front. That's a part number, if you're, you know, so inclined. I just got them off eBay. Yeah, you can get them. Pop them out, and there's just an O-ring in behind that you can see, and you just drive them in. So I'm going to clean the Master out properly, get all the gunk out, and then we're going to pull, we're probably going to end up pulling that off, and we'll see if we can assess that on the bench, because the slides don't slide, and we're going to need to clean some crap out and get that piston freed up. Alright, well, it took some banging and clanging, but we were able to get the slides out. They were stuck good, so we will have to check the other side, but they come out alright. not holding super high hopes for the piston. I mean, the inner seal is fine, and the bore in there looks okay, and the seals actually feel like they've got a fair bit of protrusion on them. So I'm going to buff this up, and we're going to reinstall it and see how it goes. If it doesn't leak, brilliant. If it does, well, yeah, okay, then we're either up for a piston, which I don't know if you can get them, or I'll have to buy a whole new caliper. But yeah, we'll buff it, see how it goes. I mean, we can always try it. Yeah, at least, yeah, I mean, that was seized in there pretty good too. I actually come in the back and drove it out with a long pin punch, so clean it up, get it back on the quad. Yeah, I'm giving that a 0% chance of sealing. The only saving grace would be if the seal happens to run right back here, just off it. That's fine there, but yeah, we'll see. Suck it and see. Alright, all back together. That took some effort. I mean, motorbike brakes can be pains in the butts to bleed anyway. Still dragging slightly, but hopefully it'll be. Yeah, it's got a different braking system, so it's got proper, like, full front brakes up on the handlebar, but then there's a distribution block here that comes down to what would be the rear foot brake. And if you notice this, the piston, when it comes out, it's got two very different sections of the bores that it runs in, and the foot brake acts on the front pistons as well as what the lever brake does. So anyway, it's quite a big system, a lot of fluid, but it's bled now, so it's free, and the brakes definitely work. They're all welded up, we're all back together, shocks back in, so I'm going to put this wheel back on, and then I think I'm going to concentrate on trying to get, might try and get the front plastics back on, the front sort of bonnet area, see how that all goes. Hopefully that doesn't impede me too much with servicing, but we'll see how we go. Alright, that's that more or less back together. I got to bolt that back on, the flare that's only sitting there. This is all back in. Seems that all the wiring comes up, which I don't mind actually. All the plugs come through back here, and all your harnesses and connectors are actually up, sort of out of the weather a little bit, which is good. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch gears slightly, and before I get too carried away with getting all the plastics back on it, because these things becoming quads in general become a bit of a nightmare when you do start putting everything back on. I think we're going to get the servicing stuff out of the way. So I'm just about to drop the oil. I did crack the bolt. Where did you go? There you are. So let's see what comes out of here. Ooh, yummy. Okay, let's let that drain for like a, what the hell was that? The hell was, oh, washer. It's okay. I thought something big dropped out of the sump then. Anyway, just the washer. Let's let that drain. That's, yeah. Now these don't run a wet clutch. Oh, come up here. Sorry, excuse that. So these don't run a wet clutch, which means I can put just about any oil back in it I want. You don't need an actual motorcycle oil because they're CVT and they're a, you know, transmission on the other side. With motorbikes, the clutches are actually wet. They're inside, they run in oil. You need to run a specific oil. Don't have to do that with this. So what I've got is not what's in that bottle. It's a Penrite 1540 diesel oil. Opinions on oils are incredibly varied, and everybody seems to really want to stand by their own opinion. So that's just what I run. It's what I run in almost everything. Is just a good quality diesel oil. I like Penrite, no real reason, I just do. So that's what's going back in it. Yeah, I've got a new filter for it as well. It's actually a genuine CF Moto filter. So put that in it, and doesn't look like enough come out. Anyway, we'll keep working. So we'll do the engine oil, obviously, filter, and front and rear differentials. I don't have any coolant to put back in it yet. It's only got water in it at the moment. So I'll have to go and buy some coolant, but water will run for the minute. Then we can concentrate on getting the rest of the plastics on. So Right, let that drain, get it done. All right, so something you don't, or I don't tend to see as much as what I sort of thought you would, is people don't tend to cut their oil filters open anymore. Or if they do, they don't seem to show it, which, you know, that's fine, whatever. But I do it with everything I change. I'm not going to say every time, because that would be a lie, but most times I will cut the filter open, cut the pleats off, and it gives you a very, very good indication of what's wearing. So I cut the top off. I actually have a special tool that looks like a big can opener. I don't have it here. So I actually cut the top with a grinder. And it's, you know, you shouldn't really do that. It might make it look different. But anyway, so we're just going to sort of ignore any of this really, really top section here. So we're going to be looking basically from there down when we get the pleats out. But obviously the top section could be, could have, oh, that knife is incredibly blunt. Like incredibly blunt. Let me find something sharper. Alright, took me a while. I have an actual Stanley knife with a fresh blade. So, come through, cut the pleats. You don't really have to go all the way around. Now that side. Come through this side. Oh, pieces of thick cardboard. Or paper or whatever they use for it. Alright, so, oh God, never had filter material behave like that before. It feels wet. Not like oil wet. Anyway, alright, so you don't really have to take all of it. We'll just go about that much. That's plenty. Now, I have seen people just stretch that out and have a look and go, okay, holy crap, that's dirty. Anyway, but there's a better way to do it. So, get yourself a rag, fold over a couple of times. We get this, we put it in the vise, and then let me make sure you can see. And what we do the vise up, and it forces all the oil out. Pretty simple concept. Oh God, it just looks like mud. It does make a mess, so there's, you know, sort of nothing you can do about it. But, you know, get pretty tight, put some force on there. I'll show you why in a second. Righto. And then we run it back out, and because we squeezed all the oil out, you get a much better picture of what's going on. That is dirty. So that's the inside of the filter. So that's after it's been, well, that's what it's caught, and then that's what's gotten through. So, you know, there's not much on that side, which is good. A few dirty patches, but that side is filthy dirty. I can't see. There's a little bit of metallic fleck in it, and I can't remember what side was up. Anyway, there's nothing crazy. There's no big chunks or anything. It's just looks like debris, or not debris. So yeah, like I got this off. He did say that the engine had water in it. It was left outside, and I don't believe it was while he had it. I think it was how he brought it. Had water in it, and basically he drained it and filled it with oil and spun it over and everything. And yeah, so we're still seeing remnants of that. I can't recall whether he said he changed the filter or not. If he didn't change the filter, then that makes perfect sense. That also does go a long way to explaining the colour of the oil as well. So I'm not ready to write the engine off yet, but what we'll do, finish this service, and then next time I do a service on it, I'll cut the filter open and we'll check that one and basically just monitor it for a while and see how we go. The engine's not making any silly noises or anything, so the other thing you can do is, if I had a magnet on a stick, which I don't, you can get down in there with a magnet on a stick and feel around, and it'll pick up any metallic particles or anything. I'll just tip some of this out. We'll see if we can see some sediment in the bottom. Alright. So not really. I'm not seeing any great big chunks down in there. Just more dirt. Or more dirtiness. Not dirt as such, just... Yeah, that's alright, that's good. I'm sort of pretty... I'm not surprised by what I'm seeing. And I think we're good. No big chunks, so they can go in the bin. We'll put the new filter on. There we go. All together. I tried to sort of film it, but all it really was me pulling panels off, because I realised I put them on in the wrong order. There is lots of little panels and things to go on here. I'm missing cover that goes over the shifter there, and just that little side inspection cover for checking your oil. Other than that, everything's here. It is actually the wrong seat, but you know, it's good enough for what we're doing. Alright, so like I was saying, she's pretty much done. A couple of things that I know need doing. It needs an intake boot from the carby to the actual intake pipe of the engine. It's got some cracks on it, and I can hear it. There's a vacuum leak there, so that's got to be done, which sort of makes the bike a little bit hard to ride at the moment because it leans out. The brakes are still woeful. All the bleeding I did, they're still no good, and it started leaking out of the master. So I'm going to be out for a rebuild kit on the master cylinder for the front brakes. The rear brakes don't seem to do anything. I don't know why. I think I need to just bite the bullet and strip it down, pull the caliper and everything off, and I might do some I will. I'll do some investigation and see if I can get replacement pistons and seals for the calipers. I mean, brakes are kind of important. You do need them. But yeah, other than that, I mean, it was a pretty quick throw together sort of project. It was, you know, a bit of a weekend in the shed. But we've got something to go shooting with now. So yeah, it certainly won't be the end of this quad. We're going to do some upgrades to it. I've got a light bar to fit. I've got a UHF I'm going to fit on it. I'm going to upgrade the winch. And what else are we going to do? Yeah, I'm going to wrap it. So I've never wrapped anything before, so it might be a complete waste of money on wrap. But we're going to wrap it. So I think a nice camo wrap will make this thing a bit more fit for purpose. And it should be good. So, alright, that's enough of me yammering. I've sort of had enough for the day, so thanks for watching, and yeah, we'll catch you on the next one.